Hello everyone, Chuckles here.
Spencer back here.
Not going to do a whole lot, at least I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot of talking for this one because my throat is exhausted from all the talking I did at the Carousel Cocktail. But I will start off, and so therefore I'm going to let Spencer tell you about his day because he was not with me today. But I got started, again, bright and early. For some of you, that's not really bright and early, 9 o'clock, but at least, got up earlier than that because I had to get to the Fairmont at 9 o'clock because I had to meet with a guy who is... I think we talked about the guy I was meeting with before, who was in the media services, gave us these metal straws, and I met with one of their people today before the pitch conference, and to talk about their services, their payroll services, basically. So they handle paying of the cast and crew and all that kind of stuff. Which is not really needed at this point because we don't have any funding to begin with, but it was good to talk to him. And also I talked to a product placement person because there's one particular element in the film that there's not really any product placement in this film except for one element that I thought I wrote down the script that I thought was funny, but I was like, I wonder if this would actually work, because it's basically... it seems like it's not going to happen, but, well, just in case I'll be vague, but it's basically a website that I actually wanted to actually use in the film, but tweak it for the film's specific purposes. And the way in which I wanted to do that, I talked to this product placement person, because they said that they do product placement, and that includes websites and things like that, and discounts on hotels. Like, she can get the crew discounts on staying at a hotel if you show that hotel in the film and things like that. And I asked her about the way in which I wanted to use this website, and she was like, that's what we call negative placement, and you're probably not going to get approved for that. I was like, yeah, I wish that I could, because I think it's really funny, but I was imagining that might be the case. So might have to go with something more generic for the website that appears in the film. But in any case, actually went to the pitch conference, this was my second pitch conference, and the way it works, I believe I explained it the last AFM series of videos, but there are 3 panelists. 2 of them are there every single year at the pitch conference, those 2 being Cassian Elwes. They said his last name so because I've seen him now several times, and he's been here at every AFM, and he's a big time producer, but I can never remember how to say his last name. And Tobin Armbrust, producer. Tobin and Cassian are here every year at the pitch conference. The third person is different, I think, a lot, and Effie Brown, producer, and Effie was the third person this time. And the way it works is that before the AFM, people submit video pitches to be considered for being included in this pitch conference. I did not do that because I was busy doing the business plan and all kinds of other stuff, but you then get to go up on stage and pitch directly to these 3 people in front of the entire rest of the audience, and basically they use you as a test example. However good or bad your pitch is, they will give you notes on it, and they will be brutally honest, as you imagine producers will be. Like one of the guys up there after his pitch, Cassian, he was very, very outspoken and very animated, and he's really funny. And as soon as his pitch ended, he was like, "My God, that was awful." And they will be completely honest and give you all these notes. And even if they like the pitch, they will say, "But here's what else you could do differently." And then they will go through all those people, and then you will some people will put their names into a bucket beforehand, and those names will be drawn, and those people will come up then out in a later segment, and then in the final segment, people will throw in their business cards, and this I did do, throw in their business cards into a jar, and those business cards will be pulled out, and 3 more people will be, so 3 people, a bunch of different pitches. In fact, I think the number is right here. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 pitchers that got in with the video submission. And then 3, because each of those 3 panelists picked a name out of a bucket, and they went, and then each of those 3 panelists picked a card, and 3 more went up. And then at the very end, a grand prize winner and a runner-up are chosen. And I didn't remember that this happened, but when it happened, I was like, oh yes, I do remember that from the last time I attended the pitch conference, is that the runner-up gets an Industry Plus badge, and then the grand prize winner gets a Platinum badge. Mm. Industry Plus is the badge that we have that allows for all the access. In fact, one woman, I was happy that she got in because I was worried for a second because she wasn't being allowed into the financial conference, I believe. And her badge is red too. And she was like, what? I can't. He's like, no, I'm sorry, you can't get in. And she looked at me and she was like, well, what about him? He's got that. And he was like, oh, let me see that. And he was like, oh, no, sorry, miss. He's got the P right here, you see? That means he can go anywhere. The P, it's like, because several different colors and then letters. Colors signify, like Amanda and Nikki, when they came, they got a peach-colored badge.
Basically looked like a faded version of that with no picture.
And that means a day pass. Then there are blue ones. I forget what the blue ones are for.
There are different shades of blue too, so it's confusing. Because
some of the blue ones I believe are for like specific people, like special guests or like press or something, and then like same with green. But then red is I believe I got a darker red one when I attended the first time for the last 3 days, and then the red one with the P. Basically, P means pass.
Okay.
So it's like you have a pass for literally everything at the conference, at the market. And then C means conference. So you can't go anywhere, but you have ticketless access to all the conferences. And this woman had neither. She had red, but no letter. But then I saw her in there afterwards. I was like, oh, I'm glad you got in. She was like, yes, I forgot. I bought a ticket for this. And it was in my purse somewhere, so I had to go away and rummage around and find it. So that was good. But so that was the pitch conference, and Cassian actually said sometimes. I say it like I'm on a first name basis. Everyone calls him Cassian, but he said that sometimes the person whose name who was drawn has actually, even though they didn't practice and it was spontaneous, sometimes it has been the case that they have had the best pitch and they've won. But this time it was both the runner-up and the winner were from the pool of pitchers that pre-submitted. So that was fun. And, so pitch conference, and then I went to have the meeting with the project placement, the woman in charge of the product placement company, A-List Entertainment. And then went to the Palisades room in the Lowe's right here, which is where we all went on the first day, the exact same room that we all went on the first day for orientation. And that was a diversity program. It's had the title is not good. You know, some of these titles are snappy, and some of them are just like basically a descriptor of the entire thing. The title of this conference thing is Audiences Want More, Bringing Diverse Projects to the Marketplace. That sounded interesting to me, so I went. I didn't realize what diversity they were talking about. Of course, they're talking about diversity in all sorts, and they've been talking about that in all sorts throughout all the conferences and whatnot, the diversity. But specifically, this is put on by ReFrame, which is a company that is all about getting to a point where there is 50-50 male-female representation in the movie business. And so they have this whole thing here where it's like the ReFrame stamp. If your film qualifies for a ReFrame stamp, then you get the stamp. This is basically, they might as well have called it the Bechdel Awards, because that's basically what it is. If your film passes the Bechdel test, then chances are you will get the stamp. It's more complicated than that, because you have to, like, I will read it out right here. To follow, the films must achieve 4 points within these 8 qualifiers, with at least 2 points from the lead, director, and writer categories. And you have to have it, theatrical or streaming distribution must be secured to qualify. And so you have to have so each of these things that I'm about to read off is 2 points, and if you get 8, then, if you get 4, then you can qualify for a ReFrame stamp. And those are female lead character, female director, female writer, female co-lead, female producer, 50% female representation on screen, 50% of department heads are female, 50% of crew are female. And similar thing for television. So that's what they were talking about, and that's what they were talking about, all of the difficulties that there are in people still not wanting, still the attitudes among the big studios that, female films, minority films, And again, Cassian was there, and he was like, man, I'm pissed off that we have to have this conversation still. It was one of those, it's 2019, people, type of thing. And I have to say, and they did talk about this, because I see, obviously it is a good thing, and obviously there is still a lot of work to be done in terms of diversity, but I am less inclined towards this kind of thing where it's like, here are things that you must do to qualify for a stamp that says, diversity, good job. Because to me it's like, rather than trying to make sure that the big studio, because there was a woman who actually asked the panel, and there was some serious, there was an African-American woman, an Indian woman, a bunch of different creators. In fact, one woman was very brave. She was like, hey, what if we need help on doing this? You guys are talking about all this stuff. What if we need help doing that? And Cassian was like, come up here. And she went up there and explained her situation. And he was like, you give me your card and we'll have a meeting afterwards. So it's like, there's all kinds of frustrations at not being allowed in. There was a woman there who was talking about the exclusivity and the male domination in the unions, and how the unions are, and I didn't even realize that. I didn't, because I have not yet worked with unions. I know you probably know more about that than I do, because you're sort of with a similar type of agency as the unions, but it's like not a lot, not very, even less representation there than in general on film sets, it seems like, to at least the way this one was talking about. And so obviously it's very good, but I am more of the mindset that we should not be focusing so much on forcing the big studios to make diversity hires, as much as we should be focusing on the diverse filmmakers who are already there but are not getting recognition. Because that's the big thing for me, is that the roles are there in terms of LGBT directors and actors and female producers and all that kind of stuff. They are there and have been doing that work, but they don't get the spotlight put on them. Everyone focuses on the giant conglomerates. And so shifting focus. And that's what they were talking about too, because when this Indian woman was like, what are you doing to change the big studios? And ultimately they had to say, you know what, we're all indie producers. We produce, our companies are indie companies. We have relationships with the big studios, and Cassian actually said, we walk in there and tell the studios, what are you doing? Why aren't you hiring more? And there was let me give you the rundown of who else was there besides him. They had a 50-50 split of male and female representation on the panel for this. Glenn Basner, CEO of Film Nation Entertainment, Zane Devon, CEO of Pacific Northwest Pictures and president of Montana Pictures, Cassian Eloise, his production company is elevated. And then Monica Levinson, president of production at Shivhans Pictures. And so they were saying, like, what we can do is promote, like, do better in our sphere, the indie sphere, bring on more women directors, bring on more diverse talent in front of and behind the camera, make the indie films better and better, and promote them and get people to go out to see the indie films and get them to be bigger than they have been before. So
basically just get the conglomerates to realize that it's profitable.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's the sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. They say they don't hire, they don't put people of color in the lead roles because they don't have the name recognition, but the reason they don't have the name recognition is because nobody puts them in the lead roles. So it's a cyclical problem. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
More light.
Yes, that's helpful.
So that was a really nice, heated discussion. It wasn't a debate because everyone was on the same page, but it was like a lot of frustration was vented. A lot of the panelists were like, okay, I hear you, but like, what are you doing? What are you doing to change things? And they were trying to say, like, here's what we're doing, and they were talking about the ReFrame, which again, that's not the best thing as far as I'm concerned, but it is good that they are doing that and that they are getting more diverse content out there and making sure that people understand this. And then after that, I went to the Carousel Cocktail. I was supposed to meet with someone tonight. She missed the meeting. She thought that it was tomorrow night, so I was like, well, if we're back in time, because tomorrow we are going to Miyuki's premiere of Hanari Geisha Modern. That's her documentary. She has invited us as VIP guests to the screening at AWFF, Asian World Film Festival. So Spencer took a day off of the market today. We're both going to take a day off of the market tomorrow, although I think I'm going to actually go to the second financial conference, at least to catch enough of it until noon when we have to go, because that'll be almost all of it. It'll be 45 minutes left, but it's still a long process. And so I went down to the Carousel Cocktail, and it was a much more successful Carousel Cocktail. I would say successful, but successful in terms of like what the Carousel Cocktail is supposed to do, as opposed to what it was for me last time. Because this is my third AFM. The first time I was here for the last 3 days, no Carousel Cocktail. Last time I was here for the whole week, Carousel Cocktail. But I just walked. It's at the Carousel. I forget what the name of the place is. The Carousel something.
Yeah, the something pier or something.
Yeah, it's on the pier.
Because the premium pass gets you a ticket that had the details of the place on it, but they take a ticket, so we don't have them anymore.
So again, what I was saying. Yeah, I forgot what I was ultimately going to say when I was talking about what they won at the pitch conference. So the runner-up gets this, which gets you ticketless access to all the conferences and lets you go anywhere during the AFM. The Platinum badge is one step above this, and it's all that, plus you can go every night to the Carousel Cocktail. And there are a couple of other like specific things you can do that don't appeal to me at all. I don't think I will ever get a Platinum badge. We'll see. I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned right now, like Industry Plus badge, whatever gets me into the full week. If there were a cheaper option that allowed you to come to the first 3 days as opposed to the last 3 days instead of the full week, I would prefer that. I wish there was one that was cheaper that could allow you to come for the first 3 days and that's it. But there isn't. You have to come for the full week if you're going to do the first 3 days. Last time that I did so if you know Santa Monica, the pier where the Ferris wheel is, that whole fair, there's a big carousel, indoor carousel. a carnival type place, and that is where the Carousel Cocktail is every year. And last time when I went, I just went in there, and they have hors d'oeuvres. They have cheese and crackers and chips and hummus and meat, which I assumed was pork in various varieties.
Just different stuff like prosciutto and salami and stuff like that.
And then there is an ice cream place there that is the ice cream place that is normally open for business. This is a carnival place that anyone could go to throughout the day at Santa Monica, but during the AFM, the ice cream place, you can just go there and get some ice cream. You don't have to pay for it.
And unfortunately, I showed up late because this is the end of my story, but I came back to the room and just hung out here for a while, kind of decompressing, just like, I could go to that thing, but meh. But then, I text him, and he says, yeah, I'm going over here. You can come over if you want. So I said, yeah, might as well, just to see what it's like. So I go over there. By the time I get there, there's only like an hour left. And so I talked to a couple people. I got a couple of drinks, and, ate some of the snacks. And by the time I got into the ice cream line, they were shutting down. And so, like, the last 3 or 4 people in line, which was me and the people I was talking to, got utzed out the door and said, nope, sorry, this is the cutoff. They get ice cream, you don't.
And some people that I'll get to this, but, so the last time I was there, 2 years ago, I just went in there, and I was just... The first place that you go when you give them your ticket is the courtyard outside the carousel, because there's this closed off courtyard. It's closed off by walls, but it's still outside. And then there's the carousel inside. The courtyard outside is packed with people. There are, what are those things called? The heaters that are
heat lamps.
Heat lamps. Heat lamps placed all over the place. The ones with the flames at the top. And people are milling around, but it's very packed and it's very crowded. And then when you go past there and you go into the carousel, it's less crowded. There are people actually riding the carousel. There are people hanging out. There are tables set up, standing tables where you stand there and eat and talk. And last time, I just got some food because I'm always about the free food, and then just walked around once and then left. I talked to a couple of people in there, but that was about it. This time, I actually mingled more. So I was like, okay, I need to put myself into the mindset of, because we mentioned this before, both of us are not big on crowds, but it's good, however, and necessary for me to mingle. And so I put myself in the mindset of just introduce yourself, try to make friends, because that's all you're doing right now. You're not trying to pitch anything. And so got to talking to some people.
Real quickly, that's actually something that the people I was talking to in the ice cream line mentioned. That's why they give free booze, to make that process easier for guys like us. Because we're the introverts. We don't really do crowds. We don't really talk to people. But that's why the booze is there to wear down those inhibitions, so you can say, okay, yeah, let's talk.
And I just need to do that on sheer willpower, because I don't drink. So,
yeah, I've realized I will drink once in a while. So I've realized, next time, if I'm here next year, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go straight to the cocktails and say, all right, let's lubricate these conversations, plug.
So I talked to a couple who is from South Africa, who are doing documentary work. So we talked to each other about the features that we're working on and the documentaries that we've done, because I did short-form documentaries in Micronesia. I met that girl with the bright red hair.
Yeah.
Seen her everywhere, and she's here she has one of those badges like us, so she's been here for the entire week. And so I keep seeing her at all these conferences, and the last couple of times we've seen each other, we've kind of looked at each other from across the way and be like, you again. So this time, she actually...
I remember your hair.
Yes, this time we both remember each other's hair. So this time she actually came up to me and was like, I've seen you everywhere. I was like, I've seen you everywhere. So we talked to each other about our projects, and she has a sci-fi film that she's working on. about people in comas that is a sci-fi about comas, and I was like, oh, there's a Russian sci-fi film called Coma, the one that I wanted to see. And she's like, yes, I went and saw that just to make sure, and thank God it's not like mine. I was like, okay, good. And we were talking about how it's weird that there's like so much Russian sci-fi this year.
Yeah.
There's Coma, there's Cosmoball, which we saw. There was that other Russian sci-fi film that I forget what it is, but it's advertised on the shuttle.
Oh, yeah.
Russian sci-fi is big this year. And so got talking to her and her production partner and another woman that she met that they got talking to. We all got ice cream. I got a cappuccino. I was like, because I was feeling the coffee ice cream this time, so I was like, espresso or cappuccino or espresso cappuccino. I was like, I'll go with the cappuccino, forgetting that the cappuccino is going to be coffee flavor, is going to be chocolate based, because I don't like chocolate ice cream. But that cappuccino ice cream was real good, even though it's chocolate based, with all the little cappuccino crunches in it. And got talking to a woman that I was very glad. Oh, she didn't get. Stephanie's her name. The one with the dog.
Yes.
I forget her last name, and she didn't have a card. I gave her mine, of course. But she does social media. And so she, after telling her about my project, which she loved, she said that she might be able to help me out with social media outreach, which would be great because, as you all know, based on the fact that when you see this video, it will have been the first time that I've posted anything in what feels like years. I'm not very good at the social media. So actually hiring on someone to do that would be...
Yeah, I'm the same with my channel. While I was here, I recorded the first video I've done for my channel in 6 months.
Mm-hmm. So having someone like that on board would be really cool. So we're going to hopefully correspond about that. And then there was... I wish you could have experienced this as well, Spencer, because there was one of the people who got their name drawn during the pitch conference. I believe it was Effie who drew this name, and she was like, Noriko, and the woman stood up. She was like, and she wasn't unclear because it's Noriko, but of course, Effie's going Noriko, and so she's like, is that my name? My name's Noriko. And like, so Noriko, let me, Noriko Yuasa. She went up there and bless her heart, because again, the pre-submitted pitches, they've been practicing this. They've been, practicing in the mirror. They've been, getting ready with what they're going to say and how they're going to portray themselves. And still, some of them sucked. But but it's like they had time to prepare. Whereas the people who had their names drawn, they had to be very brave because it's like, okay, I'm not prepared, but I'm going to put myself out there anyway. And of course, the point that they make every year when they do this is that, you are brave for doing this. At the same time, though, you should be ready to do this at the drop of a hat. That's why they call it the elevator pitch. When you meet someone potentially a producer who could help you make the film in an elevator, you need to be able to say, hey, here's my film. So it's like a big deal that these people get their names drawn. So Noriko goes up there, and she, like, how Miyuki-san's English is. Mm-hmm. Miyuki-san's English is not bad. It's very good. It's just, she has a thick accent, and sometimes it takes her a while to think of what she wants to say. She's actually, I assured her, because she was like, do you need Miyuki? When she was saying that she was going to come join us on that day, she was like, do you need my husband to come? Her husband is, he sounds like an American, and he speaks fluent English as well. And so he was like, do you need my husband to come and translate? And I was like, no, it's fine. We're perfectly fine, and you'll be able to talk to other people. And Noriko, an even thicker accent, and takes even longer. And of course, she's super nervous. She actually went up there and said, I'm nervous. And she took her a long time to get out the words. And so the whole thing was kind of incoherent. But everyone... the whole audience was great, and everyone was on her side. They were cheering her on, and even though it's timed, that's the other thing. It's stressful because it's timed, and after 2 minutes, she's like, "And that's good, you're done," and then they give you your feedback. But this time, she barely got out the words to say what her film was about, and so they're like, "Oh, let's give her some more time," and so she finally got sort of to where I think maybe the conflict of the film was. And I understood a lot of it because I think it's probably, and I said this to her, I'm going to get to where I met her because I said afterwards to her that it's like, because she was like, I don't think I was, and I was like, oh no, I thought I understood you. Then again, of course, I've spoken to a lot of Japanese people. So maybe I'm just better at parsing that accent. Because the three people up there were like, no, that was so brave, you're so good, oh, good job. I have no idea what you said. I have no idea what this film's about, but good on you for putting yourself out there. But I met her then at the Carousel Cocktail, and I was like, "Oh, Noriko, you did that. You did the pitch. Oh, good job." She said, "Oh, thank you." And then we were later walking outside, and this is what I'm getting to. What you were talking about, people getting cut off when it was time to go. It was weird. I was standing in there. And they're like, okay, go this way. And I was like, oh, go this way. I was like, well, where do we go? And it's like, some guys kept coming and going, okay, we're closing, you gotta go. And so, well, do we go this way? But then another guy would come in the opposite direction and go, okay, we're closing, you gotta get out of here. I'm like, well, which way? And people, I assume you were in the group that got pushed outside back into that courtyard, and the doors went shook.
Yep.
And then the rest of us in there, were corralled that way, outside the opposite end, to where now we're going like up the street, and across the way we can see the courtyard down all the way over there, and this group of people were like, oh, they were trying to yell at their friends. They were like, oh, you got separated? Yeah, and they were all the way over there. And so that's when Noriko, again, was walking by after I'd already met her and said hi. And so then we walked up the street, and some people that, a group of women that she was with, they were like, oh, hi, how are you? And she was like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm making a Japanese horror. And I looked at Noriko and I was making a Japanese horror. And she was like, ah! Yeah, she did that very Japanese. and so...
Except she didn't sound like Tim Allen.
Yeah, no. But, so then we got talking about our different productions. She showed me the trailer for her... she was like, oh, I did a horror movie, and she was, and then, I did a suspense thriller. And she said, but that one is my only suspense thriller, and this one, then, but this is a love story. And it was she showed me this, that she directed, she's a director, and she showed me this short film that she directed, a trailer for it, which looks really good. The cinematography is great, the colors are great, and it's a lesbian love story. Oh. It's actually not. I misunderstood the trailer. She clarified this for me later. Although she also said I wasn't the only one to make that mistake. I guess the lead actresses just have that much chemistry. And suspense thriller that looked very like intense and like about murder and stuff. And no subtitles for that one. So we got to talking a lot about our various projects.
And we are also, this is something that happened last night into today, we are also in contact, Gentarada from Apie, put me in contact with someone else. I forget how she's related to him, but she is connected to an actor, a big name actor, through his manager.
Because when I met with, I guess people call it Apie, call it APIE. Yeah. When I met with them on the second day, was that? Yes, Miyuki came on the second day. When I met with them, they gave us this, or they didn't give us this, they just got this. The Yokai King is one of the films that... And
actually, they handed that to me.
Okay, one of the films that they produced. And then Spencer was like, hey, you still have that thing that talking about the Yokai King? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, yeah, well, how about this guy? I can get this guy.
Yeah, this guy named TJ Kayama. And, I've been in contact with, her name is Erina. And she's been saying, okay, I know this guy. He is Japanese-American, speaks both Japanese and English fluently, so that's helpful. And I, became friends with her on Facebook, messaged her and said, okay, yeah, we're interested. What, email do we send the script to if we want him to see it? And she came back to me and said, okay, I'm going to give you his manager's contact info instead. And her production company, which she said could also, give us a hand if we need it. And she said we can send both versions of the script, English and Japanese, because it's already been translated. So send both versions to this agent, and we can get get things moving in that direction too. So hopefully those names will carry some weight too.
And that was all him, so thank you for that. He was over there talking to them while I was talking to Ichikawa-san, who I spoke to when we went over in April to Tokyo. That was all tonight, and I met an Indian special visual effects guy, which visual effects are big in India, and visual effects are cheap in India. So a lot of Indian visual effects guys will come over to the AFM and be like, you can get real good incentives to come over to do your visual effects in India, and so I got his card, talked to him a little bit, and then said goodnight to Noriko, who was impressed that I knew how to say a few things in Japanese. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu, oyasumi nasai. And so that was the end of the day for me. And so now Spencer can tell you what he was doing, because he was not in any of this. I actually left before he did in the morning to get to the pitch conference, but his day was different, because he actually took a day off.
Yeah, sort of.
To work.
Okay. So, the first thing I did in the morning was I did have one meeting that I had set up in the morning with a dub and sub company. It's just called Dub and Sub. And though apparently the company that the guy I met with also works with is also another product placement company. So he was mentioning, I can help you with localization in different countries. Like, they have an office in Berlin. They can, and they were saying things like, if you want, to dub because it's, they're going to be people, it's Japanese and English in this movie. So if you want an English dub voice with a Japanese accent, they can do that for you. So they were, he was asking me, okay, is that what you want? And I said, I actually don't know. Well, I will ask about that. And so, we're gonna, and of course, I was also there for myself, just as an actor. I said, hey, how do I get into the, dubbing and VO, industry? And he said, okay, I'm gonna put you in contact with this person who is in charge of that department.
Oh, good. So because I know you were wondering if they did that at all, or if it was just dubbing for movies, but no, that's good.
Yeah, they do have they have offices, all over the place. The main office is Berlin, I think. But they have some offices. He was talking about places like, like Southeast Asian countries where they do business, and they have an office in Boston and a couple places in the States, like he said that they work with a company in Texas, and I'm wondering if he meant Funimation. That would be awesome. And he said they also have a couple of places here in LA. And he said that they do what they call parachuting, parachute pitch, something like that. What it basically means, the idea is that you drop in to a studio and take it over. So, and though he also referred to it as a tap takeover, because that's something that, beer labels will do. They will just say, okay, you're going to sell, you can sell our beer on this particular tap for a couple of months instead of whatever you usually sell on that tap. So they said that's what they do when they need, say, a job done in the Napa Valley. They will just, breeze into this particular, studio or set of studios and say, okay, we are going to bring our production, whatever movie we're working on, to these studios, and you're going to work on just this hard and fast for the next couple months. And so they, come in, take over for a minute, then leave and let them go about their business again. So that was the first, conversation I had in the morning. Then after that, I actually went down and walked on the beach for a minute, just because I could. And after that, what I had was, I mentioned it briefly yesterday, a shoot for an Amazon corporate video. I can't go into details about what it actually, involved. I can tell you, what they told us on the breakdown on Actors Access, which is, it's a, what, I better not even say that. But, I'm suddenly paranoid, so I'm not even going to say that.
Corporate video for Amazon.
Yes, exactly. So, the way, on the way there, I always, as an actor, I have learned and had it drilled into my head that you do not keep people waiting. Because, we are the easiest to exchange out of anybody in the production, because there are, there are 50 more just like you, or acceptable replacements for you lined up right outside who want this job too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was taught, I have a, film and theater degree, so I had it drilled into me for at least like 3 years straight by my advisor that, okay, you got to be on time, be early, because, especially the film industry burns money like rocket fuel. So keeping people waiting means money wasting every single minute that you're not where you're supposed to be. So I always aim to get where I'm going half an hour before the call time.
Matter of fact, here, let's switch since you're doing most of the talking.
Yeah. I need to scoot back a little bit. This is interesting. This is where you notice the difference in where our height comes from.
Yes, I've actually explained to people at this conference something that I've explained to other people in other areas. He's all torso, I'm all legs.
Yeah, so just now when I sat down, I was out of frame.
When sitting down, he is taller.
Yeah.
Even though we are the same height.
Yeah, so I always aim to get where I'm going half an hour early so that even when something goes wrong, I can still be there on time, or even still a little early. So that exact thing happened. I was a little later leaving from here than I wanted to be, but that was fine. The metro rail that I caught, I missed one and had to catch the next one. That was still fine. I was still in plenty of time. I got to the complex where the filming was going to take place 15 minutes before the call time. Great. But I had no idea where I was supposed to go, because the instructions they sent us were, when you get out of your car in the parking lot, find the orange elevator and take it up to the lobby. I don't have a car. I got off the metro, so that did not help me at all. So I texted the AD who had been in contact with us before and said, okay, I'm here, but I don't know where to go, because I'm not in the garage. I don't see any orange elevators. Help. Then I didn't get a response. So I just had to kind of wander around this place trying to find any door that was open. Finally managed to get my way in and got pointed in the right direction. Made my way up to the floor where we were actually doing the filming and got there pretty much exactly on time, which is not my preference, but still acceptable. Like, I was like apologizing all over myself, and she was like, "Nah, you're totally fine." So then, got there, signed the NDA, which is why I'm being so vague about the job. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. They had us all sign and send in an NDA before we even went there. They said we can't even let you on set unless you've already signed an NDA.
Oh.
So I signed it via computer, but then they said, okay, have you signed a physical one though? I said, well, no. And she said, okay, yeah, here, sign this one too. Okay then. So yeah, then I basically just went and hung out with the rest of the people who had been called in at 1:30, who were all there already. That's another reason I felt kind of frustrated. It's like, I'm usually here earlier. But and it turned out, because they didn't tell me this seems like the kind of thing you should include in the call sheet. I was the first in line. My shoot was the first one up.
So you really would have been screwed.
Exactly. Like, if I had been aiming to get there on time, I would have been late. So yeah, so they took me in and immediately put me through makeup. And by the time I got done with makeup and had been sitting there for a little while, they were like, "Okay, time for lunch, everybody." So I'm like, "Oh, okay then." I got here right in time to eat. Cool. They just had meatloaf and lots of snacks, some of which I brought back. And
on this table the entire time we've had snacks that he got during our last Japan trip.
Yeah.
Just laid out all the Japanese Kit Kats and various other snacks.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some like granola that we bought on the first night, and some just stuff we're keeping in our room because we're trying not
to... First night here.
Yes, the first night here. Because we're trying not to, spend that much money, and the food in the hotel is stupid expensive. So we've been going around to grocery stores and just getting stuff that we can eat in the room instead of, going to restaurants or going to the coffee bar upstairs or whatever.
And it helps that every morning during
yes.
whatever conference is in the Palisades,
Yes.
the Palisades ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel, is they will have a spread for you, for everyone who is attending, the breakfast foods and coffee and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then at the evening one that I went to, that we both went to.
Yeah.
I already talked about that. There was food there and cheese and whatnot. So
yeah. Though I honestly considered going to that conference this morning for an hour or so just so I could get some pastries, but I'm like, you know what? That's tacky even for me. I'm not going to do that. And then after lunch they took me downstairs, got me all set up. Changed the lighting because my glasses, as you've been seeing, my glasses are terrible when there's lighting involved. So they had to rearrange everything, and they set up a teleprompter and all this stuff, and they gave me a badge that I had to send a picture in for, like a week ago. And they just had me, they just had me sitting there for a while. I had people walking behind me. I had like 2 lines. And we did, though they still ran through the entire section that I'm in, because they want me to, I guess they want me to seem like I'm engaged with the whole thing. Like I can say this because this is part of the breakdown that was there before they even mentioned an NDA, so I can say this. We're pretending to be on like a conference call, like a video chat. So that was... that was easy enough. So they just had me go through a couple of different times, and then I was done. That was it. And so they said, okay, yeah, that's a wrap on Spencer. You can go ahead and go home. I'm like, oh, really? Cool. So when I got back up, I realized that I didn't need to feel as bad about being there exactly on time, because even if I had gotten in, the 15 minutes earlier, because, the train got there when it got there. I couldn't have made that go any faster. So even if I had gotten there exactly when I walked up to the complex, that 15 minutes would not have been enough time to actually film everything that we had to do, because it takes a while. Even when it's a fairly short and simple scene, it still takes a while. There are just so many moving parts. I had to get mic'd up, because they had a lapel mic in my shirt, and they had to bring down the background people to walk around and give them directions, and they had to rearrange the camera and the lights, and then they were running the teleprompter, all these different things, and it took like at least, I don't remember how long exactly, but yeah, it took longer than 15 minutes. So even if I had gotten there exactly on time, when I got there, it wouldn't have mattered. I still wouldn't have gotten done before lunch, so I didn't feel as bad anymore. So, and though it felt kind of weird, because immediately when I was finished, they said, okay, that's it for this whole building. Let's move over to the next building. I'm like, oh, wow, I was the only one who actually had to be here, because we all met in this building, but only I was filming in that building. So it's like, okay, sorry guys, guess you all have to migrate now. So yeah, I went up, got my stuff, got my check, and bounced, and came back here. So yeah, the rest you all already know. I came, back to the room. It was around 5 or 5:30 when I got back here. And then I just sort of hung out for a while. Then wandered over to the cocktail event, and yeah, I think I've pretty much talked about everything. Yeah, because I had a couple of conversations. The sisters I was talking to at the back of the ice cream line, we got kicked out together. We just talked about random stuff. It's like, okay, we talked about, the free drinks. We talked about cheese. I talked about, we got started on cheese because we were mentioning how we got kicked out of the ice cream line, and I just mentioned in passing that I had encountered I haven't told you about this, a gelato place outside of one of the studios I worked at, where they sold many interesting flavors, including gorgonzola.
Gorgonzola gelato.
Gorgonzola gelato.
Huh.
It is exactly what it sounds like. It just tastes like frozen cheese. I had a sample. I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Don't need to get a scoop of it. Just had to know. So, yeah, I didn't particularly achieve anything at the cocktail event. So that's...
And then again, it's more about mingling anyway.
Right, yeah. And, like I also, on my way in the door, I ran into that same guy from Dub and Sub that I had talked to in the morning. So he was like, hey, how's it going? Are you having a good time? And I was like, well, I just got here, but sure. And he was like, yeah, hey, go sell yourself. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, again, by the time I got there, things were already shutting down, and I am not as practiced as he is at getting myself out there yet. So I didn't do a very good job of that. I mentioned that I was an actor a couple of times, but I don't think it stuck. So that's my day.
Okay. So tomorrow, it's mainly about Miyuki-san's film. I'm going to go to the financial conference, the second financial conference, because I really like all the conferences, but the financial stuff is really good information that I really like to know, and really like to see the people who are doing financial stuff in the film industry and talking about what's currently going on, and possibly getting some contacts for that. So going to go there until around noon, because then we will be leaving to make sure that we get, make sure that we get there early. It's not like a gig, but Miyuki said that we should get there at 1. Yeah. It's not hard and fast, but around 1 is fine. And because the premiere will be from 2 to 4, and then I don't know if we're going to do something afterwards. I don't know if we're going to leave right after that, or if we're going to mingle, or if we're going to go somewhere else or do something else. It's in Culver City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Miyuki-san's office is in Culver City, and the ArcLight Cinema. There's an ArcLight Cinema at the place where we went to see Cosmo Ball on the first day, but then there's another ArcLight Cinema in Culver City, which is where they are having the AWFF, Asian World Film Festival, where Miyuki is screening Hanari Geisha Modern. Okay. So that's where we're going after I attend the finance conference, and if he wants to come too.
That's in the air, because I'm talking with something that happened at random when I came back from walking on the beach. I ran into a director. I think they're both directors as one of a producer. Anyway, that I worked with a year ago, oddly enough, on another horror movie. So I ran into them, and I am just wanting to hopefully meet with them, because they asked, hey, are you here tomorrow? I said yes. So I want to hopefully run into them really quickly just to touch base tomorrow morning before that. So if I can get them to respond, because it takes a while to respond to texts. So if I can get them to respond and meet in the morning, I'll be doing that instead of going to the conference. But if I still don't hear back, then I'll come with you to that, and then we'll leave from there.
Yes. So we'll get on the metro. Again, I'm guessing it's the same one.
Yes.
And so he knows where to go, and then we'll go do that. So, and that's basically all we're going to do. So then our interview will be the next day. Okay. So far that's the last meeting that is outside of conferences that we have. Okay. Something else might be. I am in. Actually, I think as well on Monday we're going to meet with Tokyo Film Commission. Oh. I finally got a response after it's been since Miyuki was here on the second day. I've been talking back and forth, trying to get them to get like a time. Yeah,
I wandered around the exhibition halls and just peeked in and saw where they were in the location hall.
Yeah. So Tokyo Film Commission as well, and then, but in fact, let me just look it up. On Monday, production conference, which I'm excited about because I never. Last time was 2017. Last time was when I was meeting Miyuki for the first time, and then she actually, on my videos, I said that Miyuki needed to tell me something, And so I was like, well, I have a production conference, so I'm going to not do that, and I'm going to go and talk to Miyuki instead. And that was when we got the ball rolling on going to Japan for the first time and doing all this stuff. So I never went to the production conference, so I'm excited to actually go to it this time. So production conference in the morning, same place at the Fairmont, then everything you need to know about production incentives, and then we will be doing our interview, and since it's a full-on interview, I'm assuming it's going to take a while, so we probably will not be done in time to go to scoring for film, which I was just curious about. I just wanted to see what because I am not into the sound or the music. I'm obviously getting people who are good at that is essential, but it's not something that I am very familiar with. So I was talking about scoring for film, but we might not be done with the interview, and I want to make sure to get that interview as much time as we can. But we will definitely be done in time to go to Movie Magic, Battle of the Budgeting Experts. Movie Magic is the entertainment partners, who we also spoke to, a representative of that who was telling with Miyuki when she was here, and the entertainment partners guy was telling us that doing post-production, because Miyuki is connected to Rhythm and Hues in LA, big-time visual effects company, the guy from Entertainment Partners was saying, even if you do visual effects over here, overall post-production, like mixing and that kind of stuff, if you do it in New York, you will get major incentives. I was like, oh, well, okay then. So he was telling that to both me and Miyuki, and Miyuki was like, oh, I also need some production help myself, besides the film that Charles is doing. So Entertainment Partners is the company, and then Movie Magic is the software that they make. Movie Magic Scheduling and Movie Magic Budgeting and some other things. Movie Magic Scheduling and Budgeting, I actually took a class with John Tagamolila, aka Tag, who is a unit production manager. That's how I learned to use those software, and so that is the software that I use now. Movie Magic Scheduling, Movie Magic Budgeting, for making schedule and budget for the film. And so they have a conference about budgeting. And so I'm going to go to that last thing on the day after the interview. And then Tuesday will be a bunch of different conferences, and that's all I have right now. Who knows if we'll get any meetings set up. But for now, Monday is going to be Tokyo Film Commission, interview, production conference, a bunch of stuff. Which is fun because this is the last 3 days is usually pretty dead, but we're going to be doing a lot of stuff. So that's it. We ended up talking for quite a long time,
yeah.
So I did doing more talking than I thought I did. The water helped, but it was mainly you this time. So nighty night for now.